We're going to go over a flexibility progression from static to active and to dynamic for the calf. So here we're going to take Carolina and she's going to get into a static calf stretch. And what that's going to look like is she's going to take a staggered stance with one foot in front of the other, feet about hip width apart. But the important thing here is that both feet are pointing straight ahead, both pointing at 12 o'clock. And if anything, what we can do is we can have a slight internal rotation of that back leg, or in this case, because we're trying to do the left calf or left leg is slightly internally rotated. And what that's going to do is going to put special emphasis, or a little bit more emphasis, on the outer or the lateral fibers of the gastroc-soleus complex. So just like anything else that we teach at the National Academy of Sports Medicine is proper kinetic chain alignment. So even in the start position, ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles are going to be in line. Ears over shoulders, over hips, nice neutral position or good control of that low back position and that lumbopelvic hip complex. Knee is straight, hip, knee, and toe in line. Now to put a little bit of emphasis on the calf, because in this stretch, someone might be able to feel this stretch just as much in the hip flexor. In this case, it might be her left hip flexor as much as she does the calf. But if we're going to put emphasis on the calf complex, what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate her forefoot. So I'm going to put this little sandbell there. She's going to elevate her forefoot, and that's going to put a little bit more stretch across the calf. Now, as a static calf stretch, from here, I'm going to have her go and take a slight lunge forward through that right knee or that forward leg. She's going to go to the first point of tension. So her ability to keep her calf on the ground, neutral position through the knee and the lumbopelvic hip complex. Now I'm going to have her get a little bit of a posterior pelvic tilt. So she's going to get a slight tuck under. She's going to squeeze the glute, squeeze the quad, and that's going to put her in a position where she can get a little bit more of a stretch through that calf complex. Again, everything else, even though this is the shining star, I want to make sure that everything else is still in the proper position. Now, because it's a static stretch, we want to hold this stretch for about 30 seconds. So 30 seconds holding the same position. Now, by the time that stretch is done, that feeling of tension should have decreased from the start to where we finish. And relax. And that is a static calf stretch. The progression from a static calf stretch is to do the same position of a static calf stretch, now go into more of an active motion. So from there, we're going to have our client or our athlete, they're going to get into their calf stretch position, just as you taught them through the static calf stretch. So forefoot elevated as an option, hips in a nice neutral position, if anything, a slight internal rotation of that back leg. But the difference here is that we are going to move into and out of that stretch position. So from here, she's going to go ahead and take a slight lunge forward through that right knee. She's going to go through the first point of tension, a little bit of posterior pelvic tilt, squeeze through that left cheek, squeeze through the quad, engage for a couple seconds, and then back off. And then re-engage. So you just relax, take some tension off, get back into it for 2 seconds. And this is a stretch that you might repeat 8 to 10 repetitions. And one more. Right here, posterior tilt, squeeze, squeeze, keeping the heel on the floor, and relax. And that is an example of an active calf stretch. Now, a dynamic calf stretch, we will take the same position, so we'll take the same staggered stance, but this time instead of going forward and backward, I'm going to have her, elevate that knee, and she's going to get a rotation of her hips right to left. And what that's going to mean is that foot is going to pronate and supinate. So she goes forward enough to elicit a stretch through that lower leg, the calf complex, and then from that stretch position, then she's going to rotate into and out of rotation of the hip. But as you can see here, that's going to promote a pronation and supination through the foot and get a more dynamic motion through that foot and ankle complex, as well as the calf. And that is an example of a dynamic calf stretch.